It's a perfect balance with strength, technique, and also like volleyball smartness.
How do you prepare yourself for the games?
I cannot say go for it, close your eyes, don't watch the block. So one basic rule that I try to apply every game. A lot more is like deciding who, when, how. It's very difficult to generalize. I cannot say that is the main weapons. Some players also try to play fast in this situation, but I find it a little bit less effective.
How do you prepare for the game if you feel that today is not your day?
Overworking can also be like a big problem.
Because I see some players, they are just crazy, they have to hit harder and harder.
I use a lot of course for the fast ball, and this is the most important thing, the timing, not the direction of the approach.
Mm-hmm. I'm here at VolleyCountry podcast with volleyball star, volleyball legend Matey Kaziyski, and we should speak about the attack. But my first question is if you remember how many points did you score in your long volleyball career in total?
First of all, hello everybody, and thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here. To answer your question, unfortunately, I don't remember the exact point, but I remember that I was celebrating last year 4,000 points in the Italian Lega, and I think now I'm going closer to 5,000, but I'm not sure exactly how many.
But I think it should be around 10,000, 12,000 points because you are playing more than 20 years. And if we say that you can make approximately 500 points per season, it should be something like this huge number. But my most important question is how do you prepare yourself for the games? Do you prepare especially in attack for every game, or you just go because you have played hundreds of games that you go for the same with the same attitude for the same game for all the games?
No, of course not. We have personal tactics against each and every player that you face. So you know basic statistic about how they block, where they block better, and where to hit. So this is something that helps you against every particular adversary. But generally, there are rules that I apply more or less against every opponent. So this is like a basic, and then you add to that a little bit of particularity against each team you play.
And can you give us or to our listeners and viewers some basic rules which are not only yours, but I think which are important for every attacker, but when we are speaking about mostly outside hitters?
Okay, so one basic rule that I try to apply every game is like no matter from which direction the ball comes towards you. I'm outside hitter, so this changes for middle blockers and for attackers from the two position. But as an outside hitter, you take the line of the pass, so you take the ball that goes along the line of the net, and you try always to approach the ball at 45 degree angle. So not to be straight on the ball, so that any little bit of imprecision of the pass will cause you a lot of trouble, and not to be too front of the ball, which makes the spike towards the opposite court very difficult because you have difficulty seeing some of the open lines maybe, or just to imagine where the blockers are. So just somewhere in between to go like 45 degree against the set direction. I think starting from the approach, this is a very good
do you apply
indicator. How do you prepare for the spike, and also the distance that you jump from the ball.
And do you apply this your rule for the fast attack and even for the high balls when you have to attack, or do you have it's a little bit changing?
No, this is mostly for the fast attack. For the high ball, this changed because the high ball have a very different direction that the ball is coming from, because usually a high ball can be even behind you, so you cannot always have this 45 degree. You try to switch it up, and also try to just have a good spiking position for the high ball. And this is the most important thing, the timing, not the direction of the approach.
Yes, I'm receiving a lot of questions regarding the timing, how to attack high balls. Do you have some advice for the listeners? how to time the ball, because sometimes I'm speaking with my girls, with my players, that you have to wait for the ball, that it's reaching the highest point, then to start the run. But sometimes it's not possible because the ball is not always high. Sometimes it's lower.
Well, since every different player have a different timing on the approach they have, a good rule of thumb is that on the high ball, you need to be able to comfortably make 4 steps and then jump under the ball and spike it. And on the fast ball, you need to have a 3-step approach. To make a good 3 steps, then jump, then spike. And this is like also for the person who is setting the ball, you have to set it in this way that they permit you to do this kind of steps. So you have a good inertia when you enter under the ball and have a good possibility to spike it hard.
How do you also prefer to call for the ball?
The calls, I used a lot of calls for the fast ball and not so many for the high ball. The high ball is quite easier to understand and to take under it because first of all, it gives you much more time because most of the players, not everybody, but most of the players on the difficult position play a really high ball and just wait for it to see it good and to make a good approach and spike it. Some players also try to play fast in this situation, but I find it a little bit less effective. And for the fastball, I use the quick, the super, and also some really quick pick when the reception is very near the position 4. So it's something between first stamp attack and something a little bit less fast.
My next question is, do you also think that some coaches are saying if you have a quick ball against one blocker, outside hitter, or opposite, or setter, the most of the attack should be due to diagonal. And on the other hand, the blockers will know that if the other coach will say that you should go to the diagonal, they will block the diagonal. What is your opinion about this advice that against single block, go mostly to the diagonal?
It's very difficult to generalize like this. And it's always bad to say, always do this and put like a hard rule on stuff. But yes, especially when you have a comfortable ball, and on one block, spiking diagonals should be the main percentage of your attacks. Of course, I cannot say, go for it, close your eyes, don't watch the block. It should be always your reaction against the actions of your opponent. You have to see what the opponent prepares, where they start the block, and when they do the block, and then decide where to spike. Never go with the idea to spike somewhere before the toss. So that is like the main thing. You can never be prepare the attack beforehand and never expect to change anything. This is not a good advice to give.
And I think also that you will agree that it's not only about the power, because if you are facing the situation you have a single block, it's not always that you have to go 100%. Sometimes you have to you can make a tip, a power tip, you can use the block, and not only using your power, because I see some players, they are just crazy, they have to hit harder and harder. And I think in the top volleyball, it's not like this. You will agree with me.
I absolutely agree with you. I think it's very important to have a wide arsenal of attacks, and having different timings on your attack and different strengths on your attack is very, very important. Learning to use them all together is a bit hard in the beginning, but as much as you progress with it, it's much more important to have this kind of different solution of the same situation, because you become much less likely to be caught in the same type of block, and people have to react on a lot more than what you usually give them. It's a perfect balance between strength, technique, and also like volleyball smartness. And I think especially nowadays, this kind of play is much more integrated in our volleyball play and in the high-level volleyball.
I agree. When I'm speaking in my videos, I'm speaking that you should not be predictable, because once you start to be predictable, the opponent will know how to defend you, how to block you. And for example, I was playing with Goran Vujevic, you know him. He was a great attacker, and I think that he never attacked two times in a row in the same attack, one diagonal, and then he changed. I don't think that it cannot be like a general rule, but I think that the most of the players are like this, that they are not like predictable on the highest level. I think you agree with?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I never played with, but a lot against Vujovic, and I remember him. He was amazing, so it's a great example.
And now you were playing with Yuki Ishikawa, and he's not the tallest guy. He's from Japan. He's 195, I think, and he has a great arsenal of the weapons. And I think when also I was speaking with Andrea Anastasi about this, he told me that now the players are not 2m5, 2m7, 2m10, attacking from 370, 380, but most of the players are top players in the national teams or in the Italian league are 195 to 2 meters. They are very good receivers. They are smart in the attack. And do you think that this is also the way for the future for the attacking in volleyball, to be like complex in all the situation and have this wide arsenal of the weapons, not only in attack?
Well, if you see the national team of Italy, you immediately see that it's not exactly the case that outside hitters are not so tall, because they have 2'8" and 2'10" outside hitters. So it's about which team you are really looking for. But for sure, height in the attack is very important. But as you say, in the modern volleyball nowadays, the technique and the switching up between the strength and the not so strong attack, also the rebound ball on the block is becoming very, very important, and to have a good reconstruction after that. So this kind of stuff, it's becoming mandatory. As much as you progress through the levels, it becomes much more important.
And I have one question related to where you played, because you played in Russia against the highest block in the world. Then you played also in Japan. Now you play in Italy. Do you see or do you feel the difference between your attacks in Japan and in Italy? Because in Japan, the blocks are not like 2m5 middle blockers, and on the other hand, they are very good in defense. And on the other hand, in Italy, you can use more blocks. Did you change your game, or did you adapt for these conditions?
Of course. As I said in the beginning of the video, you can never approach every team in the same way. But generally, when you speak about Russian teams and then you make the confrontation with Japanese teams, the height difference of the block is really big. And when you play against the Russian teams, you can almost never expect to hit a easy ball in the middle of the court, because the block is really high and you should aim really much higher just to be safe. And against these kind of teams, you can see me personally, but I think a lot of players, you can see much more using the blockouts and strong attacks on the fingertips, and just waiting for the ball to just touch the block and go out of the court. In confrontation with this against team like Japan's team, where the block is not so high, but they are really big in defense, you tend to spike much more in the court, but you don't go for techniques, because they have a lot of very fast libero and outside hitter players that recover all the tipped balls and everything like this. So you try to go hard inside the court and to surprise them.
And what is your opinion about these new techniques, about the engaped playing, this behind the ball attack, or with the setting to the block? What is your opinion? I think in my eyes, it's like another way how to score a point, because it's not only about the power. You are also thinking, how to play because with the fingers you are more precise. Do you also use it, and do you think that it can be more in volleyball in the future?
I think that nowadays it's very important to know how to do this. For me personally, I don't like it so much, because when I started volleyball, all kind of holding the ball and controlling it so long that you have the advantage, of course, but controlling it was a fault. And nowadays, a lot more is permitted, but as I was learning, I learned that this kind of stuff is not permitted. So for me, it's like kind of very hard to go back and relearn to use them. But I think for new players, and you can see now during the games of the international level of the national teams, many the outside hitters use it, and it's becoming like a mandatory part of the game.
And until now, we spoke about the attacking from position 4 for the fast ball and high balls. And I would like to speak also about a little bit of pipe, because 20 years ago nobody was playing pipe. Now Brazil came with the pipe. At 2006, you were playing the World Championship. I was there also. Brazil beat everybody. Giba and Dante beat everybody with the pipe. Now pipe is integral part of the game, and most of the teams have both spikers attacking the pipe. Do you see it as one of the biggest weapon of the spiker or of the team?
One of the biggest. I think this is a very important integration, because especially with the serve nowadays, that everybody's trying to serve really, really hard, and a good percentage of the reception is out of the net. Having an attack from the center, even though from the back line, is very important. And of course, using it as a diversion to have a middle blocker spiking at the ball, passing really close to him, and have another spiker behind him is very confusing for the opponent's block. So I think it's a very important weapon, but I cannot say that it's the main weapon. It should be used like an addition to the first row attacks.
But most of the players are, I think, when I'm watching the top volleyball, I see that maybe the players are like TJ DeFalco is getting 2 high balls. It's not easy to score a point, but then he's not scoring, but then he's getting 1 good pipe, so he's again within the game. This part is like important for the setter to know that some player needs to also hit some easier attacks, not only the high balls.
For sure. I agree absolutely with you. I don't know if it's like something that changes with time, but when I was starting, it was like every bad ball was for the opposite, and the opposite was the only one who had to think, I don't care which kind of ball they give me, just give me enough time to get under it, and I'll spike anything. Now, with the speed and with the strength added to the new play style, a lot more is like deciding who, when, how, and I think this kind of diversion, like you said, maybe you give 2 high balls to one player and he have difficulty with it. You just turn back a little bit, give him 1 or 2 easy balls, turn him into the game, and he becomes on fire again, and you can use him in the whole match.
And I think that you experience this also, that how do you prepare for the game if you feel that today is not your day, if you don't feel well in the morning, in the pre-game warm-up? How do you think about the game if you feel, for example, that maybe I have a little bit shoulder pain, maybe knee pain? What is your setup for the game?
Yeah. So I approach this question in 2 ways. One, when you don't feel like you are low on energy, you don't feel like 100%. Maybe you feel fine, but you do not perform that well. In this kind of situation, I try to concentrate in not only spiking, but in other elements. Because when your spike, for some reason, is not going, maybe the block is very good against you, maybe you don't understand how, but they make a good tactic, so they did you well, or they touch you every time. You try to do better on your block, serve, receive, and you let your teammates carry the spiking. Of course, you should maybe say something to your setter, but depends how well are you going during the game. Maybe you say, I'm not spiking so well today, just give me less balls, and I will try to fix everything else with something else. And on the other hand, when you are injured, you have some problems, I first of all try to prepare very well for the game. So a good warm-up, try to enter the warm-up really slowly, and then slowly build up on top of the beginning, because maybe during the warm-up the pain goes away and you can re-enter the game like perfectly, or maybe you feel that it's still there and you can just cut down the pressure on the limb, like the knee or on the shoulder, and just go much more technique and much less hard jumping, hard spiking and stuff like this. And in this kind of situation, it's always better to have a substitute from the outside. But I can say that in many cases, I managed to play really good games, even though I had some physical problems.
Okay, and when you are in your mind ready for every attack, do you think that the players should be brave, there should be resilient, there should be, sometimes, angry, sometimes, what is it like your setup for the game? Like be brave, because when I'm speaking with the players, I'm saying that if you will be brave, you can win. If you will be playing for like safe games, sometimes you will win, but most of the games you are not probably win.
I think there are moments in the game where you should be brave, and there are moments of the game where you should be conservative. And this, in my personal opinion, changes a lot of your previous actions. If you have been brave for 2-3 times but doesn't obtain good result, you should try to minimize the error and give yourself time to re-enter a good mood, a good series and good stuff. So maybe I try to spike on the hand, I miss the first one. I try to spike in, I get blocked. I never give a third point to the opposite. The next one, I try to, if I don't see a clear chance to score, I try to replay it. I try to use blockout. I try to use some techniques and tips so that the action continues after my touch. So I can not make 3 mistakes in a row and permit my team to keep the score close, so we can recover after that.
I think that we could speak another 1 or 2 hours, but what would be your final advice for outside hitters, general advice for these young starting players that are dreaming to become a volleyball stars? Should they work hard? Should they work smart? Should they work 4 hours per day? Or what is your advice for them?
Well, depends on the age. I for sure say that the more you work, the better it is. But overworking can also be like a big problem. The more you grow up, so the more you close up to your 20s, 22, 24, you can take up much more workload than when you are 18, 17, 16. So gradually build up to that level. And when you reach this age and you feel like in good shape, you can start really hard working on your volleyball and physique together, because they go hand to hand. Because if you don't have a well-prepared physique, playing a lot of volleyball equals injury very fast. So keep it both together. And also, as you say, bravery is the normal settings. Don't be over brave. I mean, when you start to see that the mistakes goes too much, one after the other, just cut it down a little bit, be safe for a little period. And when you feel it again, be brave again and go for it.
Thank you very much for your time, Matej. I believe that many players will get a lot of advice and tips and start using it, and they will become better players. But again, thank you for your time and good luck in upcoming seasons, and be safe and be healthy. And I will be glad to watch you again on Volleyball World TV.
Thank you very much, and I hope the advice I give a good result. Good luck to the young players. Enjoy volleyball, and hope to see you in the gym.